What's good, Pack Nation? Listen, it's a Friday night. Not sure how many of y'all are at home just chilling, or if you're out in the streets, or hanging out with friends and family. But for those of you who might have snuck away or who are looking at your phone, we will go ahead and chime in and just talk about Coach Gainey. And he had, I guess, like a little breakout session that I commented on before, but then he had this longer presser that was like 30 minutes. And he just answered a few more questions. It was really a lot of the same stuff. I will tell you, for me, it's we have a coach who is back to the coach speak. I don't want to call it coach speak, but he's more like a traditional coach when he's answering questions, right? He's not going to give you a lot of comments that you can run with. It's going to be a lot of reading between the lines. It's going to be a lot of maybe you can't read between the lines and he meant exactly what he said, right? So that's going to be the tough part with Coach throughout the year. I think he's going to give us high-level, surfacey responses to the majority of the questions, which is good. It's kind of politician-like. Like he's gonna say the right thing. He's really probably not gonna say exactly how he's feeling, at least this first year, which I don't blame him. I mean, because we know how people just take stuff and run with it. So I get his approach. Some things I want to know from y'all when y'all do chime in, when you get in here is, how are you feeling after that presser? Okay. Did it change anything for you? For me, it ain't changed nothing. It's like it was good to hear him talk a little bit, but we had no insight on the big situation. He did give us some insight on, how he gained certain players, and Patrick Stacey stepped in and, pushed Keen a little bit. That's cool. But he clearly said, he was like, look, I'm worried about these starters, right? So he really don't see guys as starters. So all the State fans that I've been seeing talk about Keen being in the starting lineup, stop it. Like, I know he's supposed to be the glue guy, but let's not do that. Gainey sat there and was like, look, yeah, I saw his offense and I was like, eh. Then he showed me the defense and I was bought in. So, obviously offense is not going to be a strong suit. We've seen the videos. But, he's going to be a rotation player. So that's cool. There was no speak about, what we have left or if we're going to go after someone that feels a certain need. I mean, it's after that, we're right where we were before it started. So that's why I'm like, for me, the person, it didn't do a whole lot. Now, what I will say, him adding these two assistants, and these guys are going to be out on the road on the move, okay? Got a dead period coming up where they can't bring, guys on campus and recruit like that. And so they got to get people in this weekend or the beginning of the week. But they're going to be out of these AAU tournaments, and they are spread out. And I love it when the coaches are, effective like that. Like, if you got one guy that can go handle stuff on his own and come back and tell you what he saw and you trust it, it's the most effective way to be. So that, for me, is like huge. They're going to be, spread out everywhere this weekend. So that's a positive. I thought it was interesting that he talked about, he went after the guys that to flat out shoot or good shooters, right? And you can put good shooters in any offense, and then he can teach defense. He feels like, if you've got certain characteristics, he could help you figure it out on the defensive end. And he has examples that he's using of people that he's done that with, at Tennessee, right? Connect, listen, he brought up Connect. Connect got to the league. My man can't stay in the rotation. He's a phenomenal offensive player. But his defense, I don't know if I use Connect as an example, right? I mean, he did say, the NBA felt like, he did enough that they could teach him, the rest and make him a decent defender. But yeah, that one's I don't think that's the right example to use. The other guy he mentioned, I don't even know his name like that, but I don't remember him being, how he was defensively. But Connect was, he's in the NBA struggling to stay in a rotation, even as the first round pick that he was. So that's interesting. But I'm hoping, he can get it figured out. And what is scary is that Paul is like the highest rated defender from the previous year that's on our team. Think about that. My man Paul is really considered like the defender on this squad right now. That's scary because we know Paul is locking up nobody. I mean, he get defensive rebounds and that's about it. So I'm hoping some changes, right? Maybe it was just the system these guys ran before. But yeah, that is some scary stuff. Scary stuff. Let me look here. So Coach he also talked about doing their due diligence, right? And making sure that they know what they need to know about a guy before they really go after him. And again, like I said, we have to read between the lines on some of this stuff. So for me, that says there's going to be some elite guys that normally, a coach is going to be like, look, let's just bring them in because they're all good. And he said this, if you're not going to bring in just all the top guys because of fit, right? And I think that's smart. You don't want to bring in a bunch of dudes that are alphas and all of them are really, really good and they can't play together, right? All of them want the ball or they want to all shoot. And so you got to find the right pieces to make a good team. But what I was thinking about is it's going to be some top level talent that we pass on because of the attitude or lack of work ethic. Some of these guys are just super, super talented and don't want to work. Don't have it in them, don't have the heart to actually get better. And it sounds like Gainey going to coach them hard. He's going to push them. So it's going to be some guys that he absolutely like passes on that to the average fan, we're going to be like, yo, what are you doing? But we got to understand, coach, he got his own thing going. And I'll be honest, I have 3 guys in North Carolina that I want. I've mentioned them already. Okay? Jordan Page, CJ Rosser, and King Gibson. Those are my 3 that I really, really want. Pack, I don't think you hear me. Those are my 3. Now, what I don't know is personality types for those 3 kids. I don't know them, haven't come across them yet. So I don't know if that makes sense for Gainey or makes sense to have them all 3 on the same team anywhere. But if it does, man, I hope Coach makes it happen. Because that's what we need to jumpstart our program right there. You can get those 3. The wins alone going to fix the recruiting going forward. We need one of those classes, that one class to give us a jump. And I'm hoping that with him saying he wants to recruit the state, that we get those guys. But we got to get Page of the 3, right? I understand. Rosser, that's the biggest fish of all of them. But Page is right here in town. We can't let this man just roll out. And I know he's been on campus multiple times, but, he's experienced not so great stuff. Like I'm pretty sure he was on campus with Keats, and then Wade, probably the game he came to, he probably got beat or lost the game crazy like because we weren't that great at home, right? But this upcoming year, we got to get this man to seed division, get him committed early, and then the rest will follow suit. As long as you keep your hometown kid, that's how I feel. I don't know. Y'all have to let me know what you think. Let's see what else I wanted to cover with y'all. So I also enjoy Coach talking about, look, he's going to adjust his style to his personnel. That might have been the biggest thing he could have said in this press conference. Because I'm always like, look, when a coach is going to realize you got to make adjustments. You may have a certain coaching philosophy and think, like, look, this is going to work. But if you don't have the players for that, it's not. Perfect example, Keats. Casey said it. Like, they didn't have the real personnel to be pressing in the whole game. And the reason they went on that run is because they stopped the full court press. Right? So you stop the full court press. They stopped getting beat. You didn't have the shot blockers for if they did get beat. Help them play better half-court defense. They're able to get stops, and then boom. All about the personnel. Slow the ball down, got it to your man, Burns, let him eat. If he wasn't eating, throw it out. You got Horn shooting from three. Like, it was perfect. Personnel. So Gainey saying that has me like, okay, you got a bunch of shooters. Sounds like we're going to spread the floor and let that thing fly. Not going to be a whole lot of trying to just force it in the paint if you don't have the personnel for that. Maybe he finds somebody else that can go do that. But right now, it's looking like we're going to be shooting a lot of threes. Because none of our – Ed Mead might be the one to get in the paint a little bit. Unless Paul can add that to his game. I don't know. But so far, my favorite thing that Gainey has said through all of his press conferences is like not even the defensive for me. I don't even care about that part. It was I'm lying. I do care about him having to play defense, but it's nowhere near as important to me as adjusting to what you have. Being able to pivot. I feel that leads into being able to pivot in game, right? You come in with a game plan and it's not working. You getting your butt whooped. What you going to do? Make an adjustment. Adjusting to your personnel is already step one. All right. It's going to get substantially better in games with that. So to me, that is huge. And so, what I want to know from you all, and whether you're watching this live or watching the replay, I want to know where you're at with Gainey right now. Like, has anything changed for you? What do you think of what he's done so far? Right? I need to know the temperature. Are you all okay? Are you like, you know what? I feel good about it. You hear he's got the two bigs that are potentially overseas that won't need to visit and they're ready to commit possibly. That would be phenomenal. Does that make you feel a little better? Does his breakdown of his conversation with Paul make you feel any type of way? It's another question. Because for me, I'm like, I hear you, coach. Did you know it was his process? But to the fans, it was still like, why you put us through that? I mean, let's be honest. Like, it was absolutely crazy how he started us out like that. So to hear Coach talk about it, like, he just went about recruiting them. He considers that, like a win in his first real test. Oh no, that didn't help me feel any better about how Paul handled the situation. Now, I'm not rooting against Paul and nothing like that. That's our guy. But I'm really hoping that he absolutely grows his game in the offseason so that we're like, oh, yeah, it makes so much sense for how he was moving this summer, right? It makes sense why he, was stalling the side. He was checking all of the offers. I mean, coach says he thinks he's one of the best shooters in the state right now. Okay. I mean, when he's hot, he's hot. But we can't forget how streaky this man was. And it seems like, all of that's going to the wayside. So I'm hoping that streakiness goes out the way and my man is like really a consistent 40% shooter. I think I'd like the consistent 40% over terrible 10 to 12% for a stretch of games and then 80% for some others. Because some of them stretches he goes through are in crucial moments, right? They're game changers, wide open threes, missed. You down 5. Okay, now they go now score, now 7. Like it's, 5-point swings when he's taking these threes. So, and he's taking nothing but threes. So hopefully all of that changes and coach, works on him on that. And then we won't feel so bad about him stalling us out like he did. Because that has left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know about y'all. But for me, I'm like, yo, you ain't have to do us like that. Let's see what else I'm going to cover with y'all. Oh, let's talk about Coach and his tours, right? Now, it was funny hearing him talk about the Brickyard used to be the spot to be and they have cell phones and stuff like that. And I'm like, I had to think back. Like, did I have a cell phone? I think my freshman year I did have a cell phone. I'm not that old. Like, I did have a cell phone. But, yes, I know I did because I do remember calling my friends when you see them across the way, trying to be like, hey, because you can't really yell and get to them. So, yeah, definitely had a cell phone. But the Harrelson thing is hilarious because that happened to me plenty of times where you like, oh, man, I got to walk up this ramp and it's just walking to try to get to this math class. Whew. Man, that was nostalgia right there. When you mentioned that, I was like, man, they did get rid of Harrison. And they knocked that building down. He would have never known it was there. So that was interesting. When he's walking through and he's talking about, Hillsborough Street and various places, he says something about a big bad wolf or something like that. I have no idea what that is. If y'all know what that is, you can please chime in and let me know because I'm curious. I don't remember anything about a big bad wolf. Is that a restaurant or what? But let me know. Yeah, but he covered being able to recruit. I think being able to tell recruits about how things change from when you were there to now could be a positive thing, especially the local kids, right? That maybe had an idea or have seen Raleigh sort of change over the years. That might be a good thing. I think you need to branch out and show these kids more like food spots possibly. Because they're not just regular kids like back in the day that just have to stick on campus and eat at the dining hall, right? Like these kids are going to have plenty of loot, cars. You need to show them more. Like it's not just campus, Centennial and main campus. Like these kids need to understand, okay, they can go out in North Hills or Briar Creek or wherever, right? And other towns, Cary. I mean, I think he needs to branch out a little bit to sort of sell the area and not limited to all them bricks on our campus. Because I don't think that's a huge selling point. Definitely need to tell them kids about Glenwood because they obviously love that. I don't know, what that is or wherever spot they're going to. Definitely need to sell them on that part of it. Make sure I cover all the points here of what he mentioned until you all tell me something that you have concerns about or you were excited about. Mhm. All right, so let's talk about this. If our potential starting five is what it's looking like now, right? We're talking about Paul, unfortunately, at the three, at Mead, Hammond, or Adams. I don't. I'm really sort of convinced that Adams is going to be starting probably before Christmas. Um, I just don't see, as I continue to look at his game, how you keep him off the floor if he's efficient. Like a real coach, the way Gainey seems to be so far, he would have played Matt Abel last year and started him. So this guy Adams, like, I think he's going to be in the lineup pretty quick. And honestly, he might be in a starter from the get, but we'll see. But with that, you got Yalaho at the 4, and then you've got Evans at the 5. And we don't know who these mystery recruits are that's going to, fill out our roster. But hopefully they get these guys through quick so we can talk about how stuff looks. But I would say, if we are going to add 2 more bigs, then I feel good. Because it sounds like at least one of them is going to contribute at a pretty decent level, and the other is just going to be a depth piece. And we also have our fingers crossed. Yeah, Mikey is way better than what we thought he was. Right? He's ready for the moment, body ready, at least going to kill on the boards, can do a little bit when we give him the ball inside. Like, I don't have high expectations, but I'm hoping his floor is way higher than what we think it is. And he's like in the rotation and really helping out. If he was good enough to be a starter, that'd be great. Because then you could move Yalaho to the 3 and Paul to the 2, and then we're cooking. Yeah. But we will see how that pans out. So look, let me ask y'all another thing. This is a little tangent from what Coach said at the presser, because I don't have any specific questions about what he was talking about. But if Matt Abel doesn't go back to Carolina, I mean, is that something worth talking about? Right? I know y'all have told me, it's like, whatever. Some of you feel like you wouldn't be mad at him anymore. I mean, but he did commit, and he's wearing Carolina stuff now after he signed. So I'm like, dude, when he goes through the draft, let's say he stays in the draft, his school's going to say NC State. And we should be able to claim him as one of ours that went to the NBA because he's never played ball for Carolina. But how would we feel about him overall? Can he now come back to NC State and get the welcoming that all of our other players get? Like, are y'all cool with that? For me, it's a no. I mean, you did commit and sign. So at that point, I feel like you said to hell with us, whether you went there or not. So I don't think it should be a warm welcome if he tried to come back. I think we should just leave it at what it is. But, some people say, I'm being too harsh. I don't agree. And, if he want to not put, NC State when he goes in the draft or whatever, they want to put something else, that wouldn't even bother me either. Like, I don't know. That is something I'm curious to know, is how everybody else feels about if Matt Abel stays in the draft and never plays ball at Carolina. Is he still disliked? Because he's not hated, right? Not yet. Not like some Will Wade stuff. But is he still disliked for committing to the rival? That's what I want to know. Y'all chime in. So here's another thing, Pack. Something that has not been discussed across any interview thus far is the increase in season ticket prices, right? It's been an increase and now a contribution that you need to make for your season tickets based off of your section. And I was going to do like a more elaborate video to figure out, how people are feeling about that. But, as season ticket holders, maybe they won't be chiming in. So I want to know if any of you are season ticket holders, how do you feel about this change where you now have to pay for your tickets and the additional? And it seems, it's trying to raise, money, I guess. But I always felt like if we get a chancellor that is more into sports and understands how important it is, I would think that there'd be a shift in our spending where we would spend more or have a bigger budget for athletics. So far, it seems like they're adding that expense to the fans, right? It's like, oh, we're going to spend more, we're going to invest more, but we're going to use your money to do it. And I'm like, that's interesting. I mean, because, if you make the tournament, you get a little check and you got the revenue sharing going on. And it's like, why are we not adding more of that to the pot? But then again, you still got football. You got to stay competitive there. So I get it. But I'm not a season ticket holder for football, so I don't know if that price has increased. You all can tell me if it has. For basketball, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Now we got to pay extra in addition to just the regular, price going up. So I don't know. That's definitely something to look at there. All right, Pack. So I'm gonna cut this live short. It's a Friday night. I know some of you are probably on that sauce, a little turned up. And so I just wanted to get on here, chime in, tell you how I'm feeling part two. If you all have some comments and some stuff you want to say, like I said, post tomorrow when you're sober. Leave your comments. I'm answering all of them. I really want to know how you feel about where NC State's at right now before we get any more commitments next week, because we have no idea if we're going to get some. Right? Till next time, go Pack. You have a good night.